Sequels in the gaming world are mostly a wonderful thing. Unlike movies, they're often better. Bugs are fixed, gameplay is perfected, new ideas come in, and for the developer it can mean a chance to make the game they wanted to make in the first place.
Such is the case with Resistance 2, which is so far removed from Resistance Fall of Man that it begs the question, is a complete change mid-franchise a responsible thing to do? Let's find out.
Although some basics are done right, like the auto-aim, experienced shooters might not like the way you move in Resistance. It feels like your character has no weight, bullets have no impact. Newer players might not mind as much, but then again they'll have a rough time with the difficulty. With a longer campaign than the first one, a good portion of that is dying. I don't want to say difficulty wall, more like difficulty roller coaster.
Our main gripe with the first one was that enemy spawns were so predictable, you could throw a grenade at an obvious door and just win the fight instantly. Number 2 couldn't be more different. Enemies attack from all sides, including up and down, and the front of battle will change with scripted events.
Area secure. Stand back. I'll clear us an exit.
And even though it's linear, you'll enjoy large open battles with squads of allies and enemies all around you, without so much as a stutter from the hardware. Although I wasn't completely sold on the graphics spec.
Yeah, it's not the best looking game, we've seen, but at least it has this unique kind of painted style, and it gets a lot more colour in the enemies and the weapons. And I think the lighting around the enemies and the weapons is really one of Insomniac's main strengths as a studio.
But if we're talking about a PS3 exclusive, like a flagship shooter on the PS3, I think the expectation is really sharp 1080p quality graphics. Whereas, a lot of the stuff close up in this game looks quite bland. And even though it has its own style, I think some people would think the graphics are a weakness rather than a strength.
It's sounding like you don't like this one too much, John.
Well, after the first couple of levels, I was well on my way to hating this game, Badge. The whole premise of World War II mixed with aliens invading never really sat too well with me. But then the game completely changes gears, puts the focus on the horror, and I'm left wondering why I'm scared even though it's broad daylight in the game, and it actually becomes a pretty enjoyable zombie romp.
Yeah, I know. Being forced to walk through fields of cocoons where zombies can hatch at any minute, invisible enemies that you know are somewhere, underwater terrors, it all adds to build this great feeling of suspense and anticipation.
And I love how they've just kind of gone, yeah, that whole World War II alien invasion thing, that was all right, not really quite working out for us, let's do zombies.
And there's a real focus here on scale and verticality as well. There's a definite influence from Half-Life 2 and God of War, and you're constantly reminded of your objective by a big tower looming in the background. And the campaign is well paced out too, with massive boss battles.
And we've been saying lately with games like Mirror's Edge and Dead Space that, they have a good idea, but they just don't go crazy with it and they don't take it far enough. Resistance 2 is not a game that wastes potential. When it swarms you, it swarms you. When it gives you a chain gun, it makes it heavy duty. When it throws a big boss at you, it doesn't kid around. And when it comes to multiplayer, they don't back down either.
Up to 60 players on maps 4 times the size of the original is nothing to sneeze at. Even more exciting, Jung, is the dynamic objective system that changes your goals on the fly.
Cooperative play is also there, but instead of a normal story-based campaign, 2 to 8 players can choose classes, such as Spec Ops, Soldiers, and Medics, to tackle random objectives around the map while leveling up.
Maybe you're right, Jung. Maybe this was the game they always meant to make. One thing's for sure, whereas Resistance 1 suffered from a chronic case of launchitis, the PS3 now has a shooter it can be proud of. I'm giving it 8.5 out of 10 rubber chickens.
Insomniac, you've outdone yourselves. I'm giving it 7.5 out of 10 rubber chickens, and while there wasn't enough time for it in the show, there is an excellent interview with Insomniac CEO Ted Price, which you can download or stream on our website.